Speed, marker, and we're recording. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 144 of the Sling'N podcast. I'm TJ.
And I'm Kent.
And frankly, it's been a couple busy weeks, man. I mean, for you and me both, we sit here and we try. We even started the pre-recorded episodes with, we're going to try to bring these to you guys more often. And then life was like, oh no, the fuck you won't.
The world just continues to remind the both of us that we are adults.
Yeah, there's a meme that I've seen recently that I've been quite fond of. The dildo of karma rarely comes used or lubed.
God. Okay. So the problem with that statement is, in my mind's eye, Karma's dildo belongs to my golden retriever, Karma, who was the sweetest of girls, and I would assume never had a dildo.
I would hope not. Although I believe that's an untapped market.
It's literally an untapped market.
Yeah. Canine personal gratification devices. I'm just saying.
Nobody has to have that market. So if you actually,
hey, are you tired of the Shih Tzu dry humping your leg?
Right.
It's a chew toy that doubles as a screw toy. Screw toys instead of chew toys. I think we just came up with the next $1 billion idea.
I was gonna say, fuck this gun business shit. We're going to make doggy dildos. So literally, Soph the other day was like, we should get him like a golden retriever decoy, because Grizzly, the new golden retriever, is a male, and he is an intact male, so he does the humping. He humps the things. I don't think my son has nary a stuffed animal that has not been molested. It's like Rupert from Family Guy.
Oh my God. Oh,
it's like 2 a.m. in my house, and I just like walk out to get a drink of water, and there's a teddy bear with a long t-shirt on and nothing else, and it's just like, what's up, man?
Smoking a cigarette. My money wasn't on the dresser. I'm waiting until he pays me.
Yeah, really. What are you doing, Teddy?
That'd be a really dark like Ted movie, like part 3.
I like that. So we're going to talk about 2 kind of widely divergent topics tonight, but they're kind of both pretty cool.
Because nothing segues into shooting stuff like doggy dildos.
Right. Well, I don't know how to get out of dog dildos. I mean,
yeah, so
somehow you follow the line to cats, and then you make a pussy joke, and then you there's a way, but I don't know if we have time for it. So I just
we don't have time to dig ourselves out. Although I pity the fool that decides to dice up this episode into sound bites, and then judges us for the rest of our eternal lives. Yeah. That's going to make it interesting engraving on our headstones. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, so shot timers and handgun hunting is the title of tonight's topic.
So to be very
TJ.
To be very clear, we're not using shot timers for handgun hunting.
Or handgun hunting shot timers.
We're not. No. Although, I mean, using shot timers makes you better with pistols, which therefore makes you an effective handgun hunter. So I suppose if you take the long way around the tracks, you can get there. But no, so I've been experimenting with the thing that I forgot the name of. Boy, yeah. But the Kestrel KST-1000 shot timer. Kestrel's normally a ballistics weather company. They make wind meters and so forth, and GPSs and range finders and all that good stuff. But the fine folks over at Kestrel made a pretty bougie shot timer, and I've been dry firing so hard with that thing that I broke a gun today. We'll talk about that in a later episode. But what we're going to talk about in these shot timers is like, what feature sets do you need and benefit you, and what don't, in terms of like, hey, I could have the basic bitch Pocket Pro all the way up to this Kestrel thing that I've now got that is a $300 shot timer, right? So things to consider, things to look out for in timers, feature sets that are available and are not available, depending on different models and etc. So rather than just the like, hey, let's do a comparison of all these timers. I thought maybe what we could do is talk about timers in general and some things that you could do with them that maybe people didn't realize they could do, right? So if you're in our audience, I hope you have a timer. I hope you know how to set a par time. I hope you know how to dry fire using a par time to measure metrics and performance. And I hope that you're regularly competing or judging your skill sets using a shot timer as one of the metrics of performance as to whether or not you're getting better as a shooter. I hope. If you're still not, I don't know how much more I can slam my head on the wall, but like, dude, you gotta be timing your performance. The only two things that matter in a gunfight are shot placement and speed of that shot placement, and that is it, right? There's only two things: where'd you put the rounds and how fast you get them there. That's it, right? And from a competitive perspective, unless you're shooting straight up bullseye, or doing like a deal with your buddies, we're just going to see who can shoot the best B8 score or whatever. Like if you're competing under a timer, so you're being timed. There's hit factor scoring, there's IDPA style scoring, time plus points, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, your time factors in at a certain degree to whether or not you win or lose a match or where you place, all that good kind of stuff. So timers should be something that are not foreign to you. So I have direct personal and professional experience. When I say personal experience, I mean I've trained with them. I've used them. And then professional experience, I've used them to conduct training, right? Like I've actually worn them and used them with a couple of different timers. So timers that I've taught with include the Pocket Pro, otherwise known as the little blue box of death, right? I've owned a Pocket Pro timer or two in my day, a little competition electronics Pocket Pro thing. Blue box beeper, all that good kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. The Pack Club timer, the little moderately triangular looking black thing with the green button on it that clips to your belt that everybody's so familiar with. The Pack, Club timer 2. The Range Tech timer. The Range Tech shot timer is one that might need to be one down here. There is, in fact, right here. So this is a Range Tech shot timer. From a guy, rangetechtimer.com. Riley Bowman is one of the owners and operators of this organization, Range Tech. So there's this timer, and then now I have the Kestrel KST 1000. That's professional experience. Personal experience includes the AMG Labs Commander, the CDE, and now the SG Global shot timer, SG Global timer. Let me make sure I'm not fucking that name up either. Shooters Global. That's it. The Shooters Global shot timer. And when I say personal experience, I mean I've trained with somebody else who had one, or I've been AI in a class, and the primary instructor threw me the AMG Labs, and it was my job to run that timer, or in competition, et cetera, et cetera. So, couple things to keep in mind, right? Like with this Range Tech timer, for example, if you'll notice, if you look at this thing, this is the only timer I've ever owned. And on video, you can see this thing has no display. All it has is a beep. Okay? So here's the thing. Timer with no display, what displays it relying on? iPhone. So there's a Bluetooth connectivity between the Range Tech and the iPhone, or the Range Tech and the Android. And now we've got our timer display, and we can change all our settings and control the whole timer on our wireless device. But then this is our actual beeper, right? So I'm going to break these timers into two categories. I'm going to talk about timers that are smart enough to dry fire with, and timers that are not. And this is why I'm so excited about this Kestrel. There's two primary reasons. The one thing I'm excited about this Kestrel for is the fact that its settings are so infinitely adjustable that I could use the same timer on the indoor range, on the outdoor range, for a variety of calibers and noise levels, and the same timer can hear dry fire. Like the click of the trigger, if that's the last thing that happens, will be the last split on your timer. So if it's sensitive enough to hear dry fire, you must understand it's going to hear the gun clearing the kydex of the holster. It's going to hear anything else you do on the gun. It's going to feel vibrations. But what I've been getting is like, okay, so I'm doing a 1 second draw par time. I'll get a beat, draw, click, safe, holster, and I'll see the first split is a 43. That's my access. That's the gun coming out of the kydex in about 0.43. I'll see the next split is about a 6.7. That's my hands bumping together on the gun. And then my next split stops at a 9.2, 9.5, 9.8, 1 whatever. That's the actual click of the trigger. And then I'll see a big dead spot, and then it'll hear the safety click, right? And then and then you'll hear the holster. So the whole time on that timer might say 5 seconds. But if you look, you'll see 43, 68, 95, 205, you get the safety click, and then at 255 or 3 or whatever, you'll hear the gun go back into the holster on the timer. But it's pretty obvious which one's that draw stroke, for example.
Yeah. So if I could jump in here, because I think it's worth mentioning, some people may be listening to this and be like, why the hell would you spend $300 on a shot timer? How important is it to catch all of those metrics? You know, the clearing or the access of the gun, the clearing of the holster, the presentation of the firearm, and the click of the trigger. It all comes down to how precise you want to be. Okay.
Yeah.
Also clearing up the fogginess of dry fire, because I don't have a Kestrel. I don't have the cool Gucci stuff that Ken has. Any of my professional experience in training firearms is predominantly done alongside Kent anyway. So I'll let him spend that money. With that being said, though, if you short of having that Kestrel, right, the free apps on your phone where you can set a par time, literally any other shot timer that might fall under the not dry fire compatible category that Kent just outlined for everybody, you're still left wondering, right? So if I set a 1.5 second par time to draw, find the dot, press the trigger, I'm relying on my own perception of the click of the trigger and the recognition of the par time beep to know if I made that time hack or not. That's a very in the grand scheme of training, and anybody that's trained with Kent and I know that we will break things down into what's called micro drilling, right? Not trying to give up too much of the secret sauce, but at the same time, yeah. So one of the inaugural things that we do for the handgun or defensive pistol metrics course is, access, grip, present, and each of those to the standard. We expect students to be able to meet call it a 0.33 second benchmark for each of those three things, ultimately equaling in a sub 1 second first shot on target. Short of that, you might be hitting 105, 120, 150, 2 seconds, whatever it is. You don't know where you're slowing down. You don't know where the speed bump is in your procedure. So therefore you're kind of left wondering, right? Why do I keep like, I'm picking up the dot. I'm squeezing the trigger. My dot's not moving when I press the trigger, when I hear the click, but I'm still hitting, I'm not meeting my performance goals and objectives. It's really hard to know exactly where you can improve when you don't have that level of granularity, right? And I would even argue that a level of precision comes along with some of that purchase price as well, because if it can pick up the milliseconds in between the gripping of a firearm and the clearing of kydex, that's an important feature set, right?
So here, I'll give you a proof in the pudding on this, right? So I've been working on my reloads a little bit more than I normally do.
Mm-hmm.
Given the context of the type of instructor I am and the people I teach, I don't actually teach a lot of reloads.
Nope.
Because civilians, right? Like, you're not gonna do a ton of reload. But I'm competing, and I'm noticing that in competition, I'm losing out on some speed on my reloads. And of course, I'm coming up here. I'm co-instructing with Tim Heron. So it's in his curriculum, there's a competitive stage. So I want my reloads to be as square away as possible, so I can demo good quality work for students. And I think when I get the opportunity to teach in this class coming up this weekend, I'm going to use the reload as an example of how to teach somebody something, because it's something I've been working on and it's fresh in my mind. So here's the deal. My time to a reload from slide lock. So the slide is locked to the rear, right? The gun has gone entirely empty. Get a mag out, access a new mag, get a mag in, close the slide, sights back on target, press trigger. Has been averaging in competitive circles just a little over 2 seconds that I've been noticing. That's good enough until you end up in a standards scenario or in a standing reload scenario, and then that time starts to bleed a little bit. A 2-second reload in an IDPA stage where you have to do 3 seconds of running after the reload kind of doesn't matter, right? As long as you get the gun backing up and into position before your next array. If I have to run from deep front right to deep back left on the stage boundary, then that's going to take me more than a second and a half or 2 seconds anyway. But I've been working to shave that number down a little bit. And I've been working on some different technique things and whatever. So today, when I was doing my dry fire, I had set a par time at 1.8. So beat from the beginning of the first B to the end of the last P, B-E-E-P, B-E-E-P, I've got that set to 1.8. So in my dry fire mode on this Kestrel timer, every time there's a 1.8 split recorded on this timer. If you do nothing, there will be a 1.8 there, right? So I'm starting with the gun, locked to the rear, empty mag in gun. First beep, out goes mag, in goes mag, close goes slide, click. Am I making it or am I missing it? Well, if I've got a split after 1.8 on there, I should have no splits after 1.8 until I get to like a 2.5 or whatever, when I decide to manipulate my safety or do something else on the gun. Does that make sense to you, TJ?
Sure does.
Okay. So on the Kestrel, what number was I seeing today? I was seeing a whole shitload of 177. I was making my 1.8 par time by 3/100ths of a second. Is that good? Should I celebrate that? Sure, that's cool. Or you could say I was by my gnat's ass making it, right?
Right.
Barely making it. Now, to your point, if you'd have asked me, if you'd have said, Kat, did you make that or not? I said, yeah, I made it.
But you wouldn't be able to articulate exactly how much.
Right, but by how much, it seemed to me like I made it. And I did make it. Repetitively, I was making it. I was getting a 177 and then a freaking 180. And what's cool about this is as you're even playing with the echo settings on this Kestrel to make that a reality. Because you can't. When I say echo settings, I mean the ability for it to hear that many follow-ups that quick. Normally, a shot timer will come with a 0.11 echo setting, which means it won't hear a split faster than an 11. Because if it did, it would be hearing boom, 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 and it would, So like if you take a pack club timer, if you take a pack club timer into the indoor range at West Shore, and you shoot a 1 second draw, you'll get a 1 second, and then you'll get a 111 and a 121. You'll never get a faster time than 121.
Right, because of the echo.
Because of the echo. It'll actually think it heard 3 shots.
Right.
So you'd be standing there, and if you're at 1 second, you'd be getting a 121. So you're 0.2 off. So what do you have to do on the pack timer to fix this? So this is one of the things. This is where I wanted to go, because I have 2 timers in my possession now that I'm capable of adjusting these things to the point where I could make them work in those conditions. I've got the Range Tech and I've got this Kestrel. Okay. On the Range Tech, though, on this Range Tech, if I go in my Range Tech app, I could say, hey, I want a delayed start. I want that delayed start to be between 2 and 4 seconds, or 1.5 and 3 seconds, or whatever the hell number I want my delayed start. I want that delayed start to be at random. I want the sensitivity to be at this level. I want the echo setting to be at this. And I can sit there and I can tune the timer on the indoor range to when I crack off one shot, I only get one shot on the timer. And then I can prove that out in drills, and that's great. I can do the same thing with the Kestrel. The difference is on the Kestrel, I get 5 presets or 6, to where right now on my Kestrel, I have a preset for outdoor range solo, outdoor range instant, indoor range solo, indoor range instant, and dry fire solo. I'm defining solo and instant, basically meaning, am I pressing my own button or am I pressing a button for somebody else? Does that make sense? So
yeah, it makes perfect sense.
So if I'm solo, I want a delay, and if I'm not solo, if I'm running for somebody else, I want that instant. The difference though becomes on this Kestrel also. The Kestrel is its own display. And this, I would have stopped at the Range Tech, to be quite honest with you. I would have been done on the Range Tech. The Range Tech does enough of what I needed to. It has some misses. It's not perfect. Riley and them are coming out with another version of it. That's all cool. But the number one miss on the Range Tech is the fact that it's not its own display.
Right.
So when you're training by yourself, and it's fine for dry fire at the house because you just lay it on a table or something. It's not a big bother. The phone, I mean by it. But if you're out on the range, now you got a gun and a phone and a shot
and a timer. Yeah.
And so now you got shit clipped all over your belt. So if I'm trying to run like minimalist concealed carry training, I'm out there in a freaking, Enigma and a sweatshirt and a pair of shorts. I got shit hanging all over me now. I got a timer clipped to one pocket. I got a phone sticking out my other. Like it's a whole ass ache, right? So I like that the Kestrel has its own built-in display. I think that's pretty crucial and key. The sensitivity is banana pants bonkers. I mean, the way you can tune this timer, I'm going to be real with you. I would love very much, and I'm going to try to make an effort to make this happen. I would love to bring a person from Kestrel on this show and have them talk us through all the available settings.
Yeah.
It is I've barely cracked the surface of what I can do with this thing. It's absolute shenanigans. It's got all these presets in it. So it's got presets for pistol. It's got presets for suppressed 22. It's got a preset for, I think, 300 blackout, sub and super and suppressed and unsuppressed. It's got a preset for rifle. Like, it's got all these presets. So then you go into that preset, and from there you're editing sensitivity settings.
Yeah, I mean, shit. The preset configurations alone are worth it, because I can't tell you how many times that I've been running a three gun competition, and one dude wants to show up with his suppressed 300 blackout, or or he's got bunny fart reloads in his PCC, and you could adjust your shot timer sensitivity to pick up the dude that's suppressed versus everyone else who's literally not suppressed. But it takes so much time to get in there and hold on, let me adjust the settings and blah blah blah, this, that, and the other. And so you get Tactical Joe that shows up with his suppressed firearm, and you just drop the setting or change the profile real quick, onto the races. You don't have to spend 20 minutes dicking around with the sensitivity settings on your Pack Club timer or any of those others. So yeah, man, I think we should definitely get somebody from Kestrel on the show. That'd be awesome. Honestly, I'd love to hear more about some of their other There are other utilities as well. There's a lot of long range shooters at my local gun range, and those guys are whipping out all sorts of amazing tech. You've got lab radars. I can't wait to see one of the new Garmin. What is it? XC1 or whatever the hell it is. Their new ballistics, not ballistics. Their chronograph, right? To effectively compete with the lab radar. They're pulling out kestrels. They're pulling out, the actual weather meter, all that other Gucci shit. Some of these guys even have the Super Duty ones that have the weather station in it and the applied ballistics calculator, which is just amazing. If you're going to shoot out to 1,000 yards plus, you need it.
They make
need
pretty
to
cool
know your
stuff
weather
for sure.
conditions.
I think it's pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely.
There's one.
I will say this. One last thing I want to say, because we did mention the phone app shot timers. I think those are good, especially if you're just getting started. The downside is, though, and this just hurts my heart from an IT perspective, being a computer nerd that I am, I'm really disappointed that with all the technological power that exists in our cell phones these days, that a more appropriate or Gucci'd out shot timer app hasn't been developed for the iPhone or the Android. It might have something to do with the limitations of the hardware, like the microphone in your iPhone or your microphone settings in your Android just can't be adjusted that way. It's either all or nothing. But I don't know. Either way, I'm still happy to see that the industry is meeting the needs of people that want to train to a certain level of perfection or granularity. Even.
I for what it's worth, other than a part-time beep and beep and beep.
That's it.
That's the only thing I've found that's worth a shit in the phone timers.
Yep, that's exactly right.
I've not found a single phone app for your shot timer phone app. They have the one
up the gunshot properly.
It's wild. Like they've got the Apple Watch one, or some company had like a $30 Apple Watch one. I bought it. I was like, fuck yeah, the Apple Watch timer, that's cool. Like I literally had in my head, I was like, well, if that can do everything that my other timer can do, then I don't need to. That's one less thing I need to carry.
Right.
Nope. Not even close.
Yeah, I know Max Michel was working on developing a watch, and I think they still have it. I think Double Alpha Academy still makes them. But there is a shot timer watch
that
will pick up all that stuff. And even use, you can even do the dry fire and all that stuff. But
yeah, I honestly like the phone. Here's the thing that bothered me on the phone timer app. I started my Pack Club timer and I started the phone app. 2 beeps. Now the beeps weren't synchronous. So the first shot and last shot were never going to be the same because there's no way you can get 2 synchronous beeps. There's no reason the split should be different.
Right.
So if I start 2 timers and then I set in on a gun and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I know I just shot 30 splits, and I have one timer that goes, those are 30 splits. I have another timer that goes, those are 45 splits. I can't use that phone shit. And to your point, I think it really has to do with the microphone. And the other thing too is the last thing I want to do is take my $1,000 iPhone plus or minus and stick it to the ejection port of a PCC so I can hear shit, right?
Exactly.
I can't possibly see anything going wrong in that scenario. So
you get a phone call.
Yeah, that happens to me enough as it is. So one of the other things about these shot timers I think is really cool is their ability to Bluetooth link. So this Kestrel allows me the ability to Bluetooth link and dump data right into Practice Core.
That's cool.
Now I like to use Practice Core for practice and keep score, which I think might have been its original point. Now that I just, used its name in a sentence. So I'll set up a stage in Practice Core, and I'll enter 10 shooters that are all me. Kent 1, Kent 2, Kent 3. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I'll shoot against myself on the same stage. My favorite part of that is twofold. Number one, I always win. But number two, like you can literally see, you can look on the same stage and you can go, my median average would have been Kent 5, as it turns out. Like that's what I actually would have done on that stage.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. I hadn't thought about doing it that way.
Well, sure. So if you put the data in practice score and you're on the same stage 10 times,
yeah,
if it's an IDPA stage, it's a 180 round practice day, right? At max, assuming you shoot an 18 round stage, which you don't have to, but assuming we're going to set up a conventional IDPA stage, the fucker's an 18 rounder. We're gonna so that's a 180 round practice day. And if you walk around with the tablet behind yourself and you no shit score for yourself, keeping 100% round accountability, you'll know exactly what your day looked like.
Yep.
You'll know every 0, every 1, every 3, every non-threat, every mic. You'll know every roll time. You'll know every total. And I'm using IDPA as an example, but I mean you could do this with 3GN scoring. You could do this with USPSA scoring. Wouldn't matter, right? And you could do it one of two ways. You could either in practice score make up a match and replicate the same stage 9 or 10 times, or you can go into practice score and make one stage and 10 shooters. I like to do the one stage 10 shooters thing. Because that's less admin work in practice score. It takes more effort.
The one thing that I think would have improved that, just to kind of go along with the theme and the granularity that you get with the Kestrel shot timer, would be if it also would data dump for you call it a spreadsheet, whatever. I don't expect it to keep the whole score in. It should be capturing the whole score in practice score. But it'd be cool if you could get a whole data sheet where if you knew the key pattern, right? So you start in box A, engage 3 targets, forced reload, move to box B, engage the rest of the targets, whatever have you. If it would break down, because it can pick up the clearing of the holster and all that other stuff, if it would actually break down for you all of your moves, it would actually break your stage down for you. If you follow.
Okay, so this is the timer. This is the one I didn't buy. The Shooters Global does exactly that.
Really?
Yes. So the Shooters Global has an app where if you Bluetooth link it to video, the Shooters Global will show you a video breakdown of splits and so you can do exactly what you just said.
Interesting.
So that's the upside of the Shooters Global. The downside of the Shooters Global is pretty quiet, as it turns out. Doesn't have a loud beep.
The beep's not that loud. Oh yeah, that's a problem.
Right. So that's one of the problems. And the other problem with the Shooters Global, I think, and this is just from talking to dudes that have both, and guys I deal with at the range and stuff like that. I actually asked Heron. So Tim and I were talking about it. And I was like, look, dude, I'm spending $300 on one of these timers. Here are the features I care about. I know you have them both. Which do I buy? And he was like, yo, Kestrel. That's it. So that's what I did. So that's what I have. So that's what it is. So as I looked at that, and then I went, okay, so that was the deal there. The other thing with the Shooters Global is just like watching videos on it and looking at menu, delivery, and function and shit like that, because it's so in depth. Good fucking night. That's a lot of clicks. Like, I don't need to be making that many clicks. I don't want to run on an actual, computer out here most of the time.
Right.
So, it's just one of those things that's kind of different. The other thing about the Shooters Global is it requires that, it's actually mounted to your belt via a magnet that then clips to your belt or your pocket or whatever. So again, just more shit to juggle, right?
Right.
So now you got the timer and the belt clip and the iPad if you're doing practice score, and you're really getting bougie ass out here trying to get better at a simple shooting task.
Yeah, when the one shot timer you have is going to require a range bag of its own.
Right, we ain't playing that game.
There's a law of diminishing returns on that one. I would say though, just as we start to kind of transition over into the next topic, I think the one thing that I would wish for just in the existing shot timers, because I think I've got the Pack Club Timer 2 or the Pocket. It's the Pocket Pro, I think. The one that looks like it's the one that looks like a kidney. I think it's the Pocket Pro.
That's the Pack Club.
Is that the Pack Club Timer? There we go. I can't keep all these damn things straight. I had the little blue one, and that one it suffers from the same problem. The Pack Club Timer, I wish all of these things. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, kidney, bottom quadrant of a lung, whatever.
Yeah. It's not creepy.
I wish they made
that at all.
I wish they made them more resilient or more rugged.
Okay, I'm sorry.
$130. Yeah, because these look the first two, so the blue one and the kidney that Kent was talking about, they have differences. The LCD screen in the Pocket Pro is the first thing that will usually fail, especially if you leave it in a truck in the hot summer sun in Tennessee. Ask me how I know. With that being said, though, they both feel of equal build quality. They both feel like and I've seen them break because you're running around on a range with these things. They're bound to hop off your belt and hit the dirt. Yeah. So I wish they were just a little bit better built. Doesn't have to be like made of steel with a rubberized coating or anything like that. But something a little bit more rugged would have been appreciated, especially considering what it's used for.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've definitely had the timer I have the most of and have had the most experience with and have owned the most of is the Pack the Club Timer too. And
I like that one the best out of all of them, or at least of its comparable market share.
The problem I had with it was it's not really sensitivity adjustable unless you like start playing with the little Raspberry Pi that's inside of it or whatever. So you have to really know what the fuck you're doing to adjust the sensitivity. That's a problem.
Yeah, it's an actual like you actually have to adjust a dial if I remember correctly.
It's a rheostat, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a rheostat. Yeah. So here's the thing with that one. I've had 3 of them die on me. Training in the rain killed one.
Okay.
Like straight up
makes
killed
sense.
One. And I've I have one right now in my Pelican case that like I was in the middle of a private lesson teaching, beep, great, let's talk about it, let's do this, beep, let's do this. The fuck? Oh, battery died. That's an inconvenient time for the battery to die. Please hold on, dear student. And of course, I don't stand there and make you watch me change a battery. I reach into the box and grab another timer. When I say professional experience with something, I don't mean I have one. I have fucking 2 of these, 3. Like, what are you going to do? You're not going to stand there and fart ass with something while somebody's paying you good money.
Like most mechanics have a baggie of 10 millimeter sockets in the bottom of their toolbox. Yeah.
So that timer I just tossed away, like in the box, grabbed another one, bop, bop, bop. Yep. All right. We're ready to rock. Do it. Well, that night, I said to myself, oh shit, I got to change batteries in that timer. I'll change batteries in all 3 of them timers. 3 little 9-volt batteries, 1 timer good, 2 timer good, 3 timer. Nope. She dead. Why she dead? I don't know. She didn't get wet. She didn't get dropped. She didn't it's the brandiest newest of the 3 of them. Dead. Is dead. Does not know why. I mean, you buy it $130 on Amazon, but like still, I'm not the kind of guy that's going to call up Pack and be like, hey, I need another timer, bro.
First of all, I doubt they speak English.
Sure, right. Exactly. So you don't know.
Chinesium manufacturing, right?
So here's the thing. Kestrel, will tell the test of time. I can tell just by the way it's built. It's meant to be rugged as fuck. I hope it stays that way. Their weather meters and stuff certainly are. So more info to come on this thing, but it's pretty cool. Riley tells me he's coming out. He was like, man, he saw my post on one of the training forums and stuff about it. He was like, yo, I wish I had a range tech too for you to try. And I was like, you know where to find me, dude. I'll absolutely try one. And Riley didn't send me these either. I bought these for, I don't remember how much he was charging for them at the time, but I don't, when there's a guy in the industry that I respect a lot and he's got a product out and he wants you to try it, I don't always ask for it for free. Sometimes you just, throw $100 or two.
Just make sure I get one. I will gladly pay for it.
Yeah.
And I think it is worth noting, just so we're following the letter of the law here. All the products and equipment that we're talking about in this particular episode, we have all paid for with our own money. None of it was given to us in any way, shape, or form. So
timers, yeah,
from the timers.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's cool. So let's talk about handgun hunting because I'm terrible at segues tonight, and I don't know, I want to shoot something with a handgun. This is pretty well simple.
Speaking of segues, I actually heard that the founder of Segway, or it was either the founder or the inventor of the Segway company, I heard that he died on a Segway. I don't know how true it is. I'll have to Google it. It might just be apocryphal, but.
Apocryphal of what?
No, apocryphal.
Okay, $10 word.
An often misunderstood fact of history that may not have been true. Like, for example, George Washington never was actually quoted as saying, "I cannot tell a lie."
They lied about
the story about him chopping down his father's cherry tree. Right. And when his dad asked him about it, he said, "I cannot tell a lie. I chopped down a cherry tree." That is apocryphal. That did not actually happen. But it's a cool story.
Pocket full of BS, you know what I mean?
Yeah, pocket full of BS. That's, you know what? That's a good way to remember it. It's a pocket full of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, I hold on. I cannot tell a lie. I must tell on myself for this one. I did not know that because I'm that smart. I know that because I watched Mr. Peabody and Sherman, the kids movie, where Sherman speaks up and states that a statement made in school was apocryphal.
Thank you.
I'm like, wow, if this animated little shit knows that word, I probably should as a 40-year-old man.
This animated little shit. Listen, you little animated fucker.
Well,
all right. So
he was adopted by a dog. Clearly, nobody wanted him. I'm just saying.
All I want to do is shoot stuff with a handgun. You won't let me talk about it. I just want to talk about shooting animals with a handgun. I've had a hard day. My sponsors, people, nice guys, sent me a beautiful gun. I broke it in half. I'm pissy pants. I have to go teach with some Shadow Systems piece of shit.
Yeah, but see, now you've got your segue.
Yeah, apocryphal. Anyway, handgun hunting. All right, so here's the deal. I've got a couple of different handguns that I want to take hunting. I don't mean take a handgun with me hunting, because America do that all the time. Just whatever, carry a gun, whatever's appropriate. Bear defense.
Rattlesnakes.
10 millimeter rattlesnake. Yeah, the whole thing. I don't mean that. I mean, I want to hunt my quarry with a handgun. Now, I'm going to be very honest with the audience, and I'm going to tell you a little secret on me. This has been a goal of mine for 6 or 8 years. Okay? I've always told myself that this was going to be the time. This was going to be the hunt. And then I threw a rifle in as a backup gun or what have you, right? And then when the moment arose, I decided I like meat better than I like cool stories. And I've still yet to shoot any game animal. Well, that's not quite true, but I've still yet to successfully hunt any game animal with a handgun. I have shot a coyote with a handgun when I was turkey hunting one time because I didn't want to shoot him with a turkey choke
3-inch Magnum turkey load. Yeah,
didn't want to shoot him with that. So I shot him with the Glock 27 I was carrying that day. For those of you playing the 15 years ago Kent Bingo game, it was a Glock 27 the day I was hunting for the turkey. I wish that wasn't the truth, but it is. And I I've shot other various animals that needed shot with handguns, like pest control or like dangerous and like snakes and whatnot. Trying to think, what have I shot with a handgun? I shot a squirrel with a handgun one time because it was all fucked up. It was like rat. I've dispatched, like, if you're a guy that carries a gun and then something dumb happens and something needs to die, you do shoot that thing. So like I've shot animals that needed dispatch, shit like that. But I've never been like, Steven Ranella crawling through the bushes looking for an animal to shoot with a handgun.
Right.
So here's what I want to do. I want to take my Ruger Mark IV, small game hunting, and I want to get a bunny wabbit or a squirrel or something, or a couple of somethings with a little 22 LR red dot equipped handgun. I think that'd be cool as fuck. Right? Might even throw the suppressor on it for that particular trip. That'd be cool.
The one time, so I have squirrel hunted with a Ruger SR22 with a suppressor on it, and I can tell you it's a lot of fun.
It really does sound like a lot of fun. So I want to do that, and I want to get a deer or something. I want to get a deer with either my 10 millimeter Ruger GP100 match champ or with my Glock 40 MOS 10 millimeter, or with my Glock 20 Gen 5 10 millimeter that I haven't yet bought from Boresight Solutions, but I keep kind of panting over as I go back and forth and haven't bought it yet.
Just saying, you got the green light earlier today. Just saying.
So here's what I figured about handgun hunting. I figure it's a mix between bow hunting and muzzleloader in terms of difficulty.
You could have stopped at archery hunting, honestly.
You think? Not for me. I'm also.
Well, the reason I say that is because muzzleloader, the challenge with muzzleloaders is the time to reload, right? So your follow-up shots, whatever have you, you're looking at it anyway. I think some of the fastest people, using a front stuffer, maybe a 45 seconds to a minute between shots, and that's not with any particular prescribed accuracy standards. So that in and of itself implies I would even submit probably a more challenge, a higher degree of challenge. But to your point, with respect to the range in which you are engaging your quarry, is quite more astutely with archery. You're looking at inside 30 yards, maybe 40 if you're lucky. Or if you, and I say lucky, it's kind of a reverse lucky because most of your shots against like whitetail deer and whatnot in North America are going to be certainly within 100 yards. But archery hunting, whitetail, you're typically going to have a shot between 20 and 40 yards. Longest shot I ever took on a whitetail with archery tackle was 37 yards.
And you were successful.
Yes, I was. Yes.
Okay. So yeah. I would easily take a handgun shot on a whitetail at 50 yards.
Yeah, I think it's doable for sure. Especially, and let's keep in mind when I first started getting into it and people that were hunting with handguns, more specifically, the types of handguns that you're talking about. So either some type of a revolver or semi-auto loader. The red dot craze wasn't a thing. Right. So you either had a big ass revolver with a long eye relief scope on it, like a Ruger Super Red Hawk or something like that. Even a Desert Eagle with a long eye relief scope on it would work. Don't know how well the scope would hold up to a Desert Eagle just because of the way the action cycles, but you follow me directionally. So with your modern red dots, yeah, I think you could easily take an auto loader like a Glock 40 MOS or even your Ruger GP100. I don't think you don't have a red dot on your GP100. That's just iron sights, right?
I don't because the GP100 match champions are not compatible with most of the industry red dot mounts.
Right. Yeah, and that's fine. So taking into account your eyesight challenges and whatnot, I think the first and foremost, the Glock 40 MOS is the right choice. But at least if you plan on taking that shot outside of, 30, 40 yards, inside 30 yards, your Ruger GP 100 with iron sights will do you just fine all day long.
Oh, I can hit with the GP. I can still score. I can score in the 90 percentile with my GP at 50 yards on a B8.
Okay.
So I could still the GP.
If you're hitting within the 9 ring or the 9 ring and into the X at 50 yards, then shit, man, you're fine. I wouldn't think you'd have any issues with it. The one thing, you ain't gonna like this one, but getting into either a solid ground blind or a tree stand, you ain't doing a spot and stalk with a handgun.
Right. Well,
unless it's a larger animal. I mean, so the only time I've seen that done successfully is, and I mean a true no shit spot and stalk, was on elk and mule deer. And elk are a little bit more chill. They're not as skittish. I mean, they are skittish, but they're not as skittish as white.
Yeah, mule deer.
Mule deer are just dumb as shit. Mule deer don't react to anything. They are emotionally and intellectually numb from the ears down. So, yeah, I think you'd be okay. But that was done with there's even video footage of it. But I can't remember. It might have been Jim Shockey that did it. It was either Jim Shockey or somebody like Jim Shockey, like from that era. But right. He took down an elk with a Dan Wesson 10 millimeter 1911 style firearm. He shot it 3 or 4 times, but he literally surprised it coming through the brush, and he had to get through the brush in order to get a clean shot at it. So
I don't know. I mean, I can imagine.
Ultimately, it went down. I mean, it's a humane kill. 10 millimeter, it's like hitting it with a semi truck. So,
buddy, if a bow's a humane kill, a 10 millimeter absolutely is.
The speed of delivery. Well, yeah, I'll submit to that. I think the bow is a humane kill for a different reason.
I'm not following. What do you mean?
So with modern archery tackle, the quality of your broadhead and the cutting surface of a broadhead, even fixed blade, you're putting a 1 inch, often 3-edged or triple edged blade through the major organs of your quarry, right? Mm-hmm. So you're either bleeding them out really freaking fast, or they're going to suffocate because you get a double lung shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be out before they realize what happens. And for the record, for those that might be squeamish, there's something that everybody needs to understand. Oh, those poor little deer, right? First and foremost, the deer don't really feel all that much pain. Deer actually have the average North American whitetail deer has I won't say overdeveloped, but they have a hyperactive pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is responsible for the injection of adrenaline into the bloodstream. And deer rarely, if ever, actually feel pain so long as that they're dispatched in a relatively quick manner. Just for clarity, you take a double lung shot on a whitetail deer, it's stone dead within a couple of minutes, right? Doesn't even realize what happened. Heart shot, same deal, right? They bleed out before they realize what the hell happened. I have seen deer shot with hollow point 5.56 ammunition, which if we're looking at kinetic energy, right? Kinetic energy delivered on target from a 5.56 is far superior to that of any archery tackle. And I've seen deer get hit with a 77 grain hollow point 5.56 that were never recovered. So
yeah,
when you're hunting with firearms, right, you want to make sure you're dumping as much kinetic energy into that deer and causing enough catastrophic of a wound cavity that it will die humanely and swiftly. That's really the difference I'm talking about, the swiftness of the expiration of the animal.
So would you say that if I put a broadhead on the X ring and a 10 millimeter on the X ring, they'll have the same effect?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I meant.
Yeah,
that's all I meant.
Yeah, 10 millimeter. Yeah, I'm speaking specific. Like I would definitely tell you, don't shoot a deer with a fucking 9 millimeter, right?
No, not interested. Yeah,
right.
I have no interest in that. That's not the place I'm going. That's not where I think. What I think is interesting about the whole handgun hunting thing is the relative difficulty of the shot. I think it's pretty neat. That's all. I don't.
Oh yeah,
because in archery, me with archery is if I put something down yet this year with a bow, it's gonna have to be a perfect circumstance. It's gonna have to be an absolute perfect circumstance for me to put something down with a bow. Now, for me to put something down with a gun does not require it. I mean, you give me a handgun and you show me a good spot, I'll hit that spot. So like,
well, let's dissect that for a minute. What in your mind is a perfect opportunity for an archery shot? Like when you say it has to be a perfect opportunity, like tell me what that means.
I need a clear shoot. I'm not saying archers need, I'm saying I need. My current level of archery skill requires a clear shooting lane, 30 yards and in. And if we're being really intellectually honest with ourselves, we might prefer 20 yards and in. Animal moving in fucking molasses slow, if not totally stone still. No foreground and background obscurities at all. No angular deviation. Nothing weird. No brush between us. Etc. Now,
yeah, and I wouldn't take an archery shot on anything with any type of obstruction, a branch, twig, whatever have you. Like to your point, I want a clear shot, but the angle of the animal will also dictate shot placement. Quartering towards, quartering away, right? Straight broadside. What's behind it? This, that, and the third. All these different things. Because I mean, I've liver shot and perforated guts with deer before. It's not fun. Fun fact: it doesn't actually spoil the meat as much as you think it does, so long as you get the animal cleaned out quick enough.
Yeah, no, I've seen that as well. I think. In the like the scheme of things that you hear guys are shooting deer with, right? Guys are shooting deer with compound bows. Guys are shooting deer with crossbows. I'm not saying there's no such thing as a recurve bow shooting deer. That's not what I mean. We talked about that here recently. Crossbows, compound bows, muzzle loaders, shotguns, and rifles are primarily what is used.
Yeah.
So you'll have a guy that. Your average deer hunter guy who's into deer hunting for the whole year or as much as he can deer hunt, he'll have an archery tackle set up. He'll have a rifle season or a shotgun season set up, and then he'll have a muzzle loader. Those are all, other than the compound bow. The only thing for me that's harder to hit with is the compound bow. But like if you gave me a crossbow, it's like, hey man, 4 points of contact on a crossbow, safety, trigger, reticle. I think I could pretty well figure it out. You give me the muzzle loader, especially an inline, same thing, 4 points of contact, trigger, hammer, reticle. The only thing with the muzzle loader is you better have your follow through square, because you can't be flinching. If you got any deviation between the click of the trigger and the actual bang, you want to be squared away there. Shotgun's pretty well easy, and the rifle's pretty much like super easy. I see the handgun as a big challenge. And as I look back on game I've actually killed, I've realized that at least one of the deer I've actually killed and the bear I killed, I could have also probably killed with a handgun. Like that is possible. Now the last deer I shot it, 108 yards or something like that down at Zach's place. I don't imagine that. I don't imagine I would have taken that shot with a handgun, because it wasn't just 108 yards on a steel target from across range 9 is one thing. 108 yards from up in a block spline down into terrain undulations, as it start, I shot him with barely any legal light left. I mean, it was getting dark in a hurry. It was on the right side, but not by much. And like the terrain, he was down in like some terrain saddles and dips. So like that would have been one mother effer of a pistol shot. Like that would have been, that would have been a very tough pistol shot. But with, magnified optic on a 308, it really wasn't that challenging.
No. That's click and drag, man.
Right. So I'm just saying, I want to know from the end eventual viewers of this, but I want to know from you. I mean, what's the deal? Is it the Glock 10 millimeter, the 40 MOS with the dot on it, or is it the or do I take the revolver?
I mean, you really can't go wrong with either. I'd like to know, especially given your skill set. They're both 10 millimeter. I think the barrel length is close enough to not really have a meaningful difference on ballistics. I just think it's about ease of shot placement with the aiming devices that you have available to you on the Glock platform. Right? Because with your luck, you'd be like, oh, I'll take my revolver. I'm not going to shoot a deer outside of 20 yards with this. They may be 30 yards. Let's be generous. Right? And then with your luck, every deer you see, the trophiest of trophy animals, is going to come out in front of you at exactly 31 yards. You're like, well, shit. Right? You'll see them everywhere, but within your acceptable range that you're willing to engage that target with. So I think just for grins, just to get it out of your system, at least for this first time, right? Go more modern. Go with the Glock. That's just my 2 cents.
All right. I like it.
That's just my 2 cents. Yeah, man. I think that's relatively doable. I will tell you this, though. So oddest shot placement that I've had that still resulted in death, almost instantaneous, by the way, which is what makes this impressive. I actually shot a deer in the ass and it died.
I shared this experience with you.
And I'm not talking about a Texas heart shot.
I know what you mean.
Where you aim 3/4 of an inch below the tail and send one, right? Yes, that is a thing, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. It is called a Texas heart shot. But it was my first time hunting with a black powder rifle, and I try to hunt as traditionally as I can, short of actual gun season. I'm not going to look down on the opportunity to use higher, more advanced technology, but I use a no shit front stuffer ball and patch granular double F black powder rifle. Okay.
I don't. Mine is an Inline that uses shotgun primers.
Right. So percussion cap. So this was a Thompson Center Contender, which is like a step down from the Thompson Center Hawken, which is what I currently have. Okay. So I practice with it. Target's good. For those of you playing the home game who aren't familiar with, turn of the century, and I mean the 18th century technology, even rifled black powder guns with ball and patch are not the most consistent. I had a deer come out within 20 yards. She was easily within 20 yards. Certainly not beyond that. I dare I even say that she was closer than 20 yards. But I leveled my gun at her. I pressed the trigger. By the time the smoke cleared, she took 2 steps, fell over dead. Dead as a doornail. I mean, probably the fastest kill I've seen myself anyway. Because usually, even the ones that I've shot with a 308, they'll usually run 10, 15 yards, fall over dead, right? They'll make it to a thicket, whatever have you. This one died practically where she stood when I shot her. So like the good hunter that I am, I waited a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, all right, I'm going to get down, make sure she's dead. Get poker, make sure she doesn't jump up and hit me with her hooves. Because there are hunters that have died that way, by the way. And I'm like, all right, she's dead. Cool. Where's the bullet hole? No blood, no bullet hole, nothing. I'm like, did I scare her to death? Like, what the hell happened? So I get this deer home. I string her up in my garage, and I proceed to processing the game because I process and butcher my own meat completely. I haven't used a butcher. Actually, the only time I've used a butcher was the first deer I killed. Everything else I've learned to do myself. So I've got this thing hung up, and I'm going to. And I noticed the hips seemed misaligned. I'm like, something's like this is way too easy to cut through because I'll usually grab a reciprocating saw and I'll split the hip or the pelvic bone. So I've got the 2 quarters of the hindquarters. And as I split the hindquarters, something fell out and it was it was the ball. It was a 50 caliber lead ball that had mushroomed completely flat that fell to the floor of my garage. I'm like, what the hell? That's when I started looking at the actual hindquarters and noticed that the hips were all fucked up. Like I was like, did I shoot that deer in the damn hip and she died? Well, I didn't believe it. I even showed my wife. I'm like, something ain't right here. But she tasted fine. But it was the weirdest damn thing. It's probably my strangest experience hunting that to date that I've experienced.
Do you suppose that perhaps see this?
No, I was not aiming at the wrong end of the deer.
No. So because I too share this experience. I shot a deer once and was unable to find an entrance hole.
Mm-hmm.
But the exit hole was obviously in the rear right corner.
Okay.
Now, I would have told you that I shot that deer through the front, like a quartering away, front and left.
Okay.
I believe that I made my quartering away, front left shot, and that he just kind of like, it was just such a small projectile that poked through that I never could find where it poked through. But obviously, by the time it got to the other end, it really kind of didn't make a lot of noise or racket inside the animal until it got out the other end, kind of thing. Do you think it's possible that what you actually found was like the final destination and really the round went where you thought it did?
100%. Yeah, this wasn't because the deer was perfect broadside. Like, dude, I could not have scripted a better shot. Right. Clear view. I mean, she's obviously within 20 yards of me. I'm hunting from a tree stand. And the only thing I was able to find was the entry hole, which was on the hindquarter.
That's so weird.
The bullet stopped in the pelvic bone. Right now, if it was like a long shot where she was quartering towards me or away from me, and I was actually like, the bullet skips around or skips down the body length and comes out the ass end, that's one thing, but the bullet wouldn't have still been in there. And the only entry hole I found was in the right butt cheek, effectively, right, the right hip. The only thing that I can think of is that thing hit with so much force. Because, I mean, we're talking about a 50 caliber lead ball, 250 grain ball. It's probably even heavier than that. It's probably 300 grain, 90 grains of black powder. The only thing I can think of is it hit close enough to her spinal column,
right,
that it sent the shockwave right up her spine and lights out as fast as possible. But that is probably the fastest kill that I've had, but the most bizarre. Because she didn't limp away. She didn't like jump. Because I've even seen deer. I've seen guys miss and like hit the deer in the leg and like blow the leg off. And you see a 3-legged deer haul ass for 150 yards before it lays down somewhere. Right.
Yeah.
And shit like that churns my stomach, by the way. Like that always bothers me. I try to hunt as ethically as I can. And the fact that they even tell them, like this was on a broadcast hunting show on, it was like the Outdoor Channel or Sportsman Channel, whatever the hell it was. But I watched this dude take a shot on a deer that was facing him. And you see that deer's front leg get blown off and that deer just hauls ass. Shot deer with bow plenty of times, shot deer with a rifle right through the lungs. And yes, they still jump off. So the only thing I could think of, because of where she fell, she literally took 2 staggered steps and fell over dead, is I hit her close enough to the spinal column that it reverberated up and it effectively just shattered the spine effectively.
Maybe she had a heart attack.
I mean, the heart tasted fine too, because I ate that as well. So the heart did not attack me when I tried to eat it.
I was going to say, was your beard hair black before you ate that deer's heart?
No, it's always been red, man.
Her heart took you.
Always been red. Although now it's a bit gray.
Oh yeah, I get a little of that.
This side's called Dan Brady. This side's called Kent.
That's good. I think we need to end right there. Ladies and gentlemen, sponsors, t-shirts, fucking I can't top that. You win.
Yep,
you win this round.
Works.
I'm going under my hood now. I'll be under here. So you guys.
Kent's still in mourning for breaking his favorite toy. Folks, that is all the time we have for this week. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, we hope you are really appreciating the new broadcast style with the pre-recorded episodes. Certainly gives us an opportunity to really put some notes together and think about things that we're going to do before we talk about them, as well as gives you guys some opportunity to not feel like you missed the live broadcast. And I've actually been getting some feedback from some of you who actually prefer this, but we're always curious what you guys think. So feel free to hit us up, slingledpodcast@gmail.com, Kent@greenmountaindefense.com, or, of course, the various social media platforms, which Kent is still on, but I am not. With that, thank you all for your time this week. God bless you all. Take care of each other. Get out and shoot.
Bye, y'all.